Good evening and welcome to another BTWN VidCast. We've got Kyle. Sorry, we haven't got Kyle. We've got Mark on from Paranormal-X. Kyle is out camping at the moment, and we've also got Kurt through like this myriad of vape smoke, looking like he's coming out in the middle of a boxing match for some reason. Well done, Kurt. Congratulations for that one. But yeah, I was quite surprised. I actually messaged Mark about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, to ask did he want to come on, and I didn't expect him to say yeah. Normally when you message another YouTuber, it's never always a good thing. They normally just say no, go away. But no, Mark was really hospitable, so thank you very much, Mark, for agreeing to come on without...
Thank you for having us.
No, it's brilliant. The only thing that when you first said yeah, I was like, I hope this guy knows what he's doing, allowing us to talk to him. It's never going to end well. But nevertheless, what I will say just to start off the show is Euro, congratulations, because you just passed the 3,000 mark a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
We did, yes. We hosted a free paranormal investigation as well because of that, to say thank you to our subscribers. So yeah, we're steadily growing. Reached that 3,000 mark. We're now looking towards the 4,000 mark.
Good man, good man. I mean, it's weird how YouTube works when you decide to start broadcasting up on YouTube and you think one person is going to watch one, and then you think nobody's going to pay attention to me. Hang on a second, why is 100 people subscribed? Why has that video got views? And before you know it, you're kind of uncomfortably hitting the 1,000 mark, and you don't know how it's going to end up. And then before you know it, you're on 3,000, and
that's it.
People are listening, people are corresponding. It's brilliant. I mean, we're just going to message in the chat room, which has just disappeared on me from Miz again. Aha, I see you're going on. I see you thing going on in the place with the people. Hi. Wow. That was more cryptic.
That was creepy, dude. That's very creepy. That sounds very with what was the machine they used in Germany that the French got a hold of to bust out the German
the Enigma machine.
The Enigma machine, dude. Because I was watching a show on that the other night, and I'm going, wow, man, that's pretty cool, And they finally got it out, and then the Brits got it, especially for the naval.
Yeah. Thank God the Brits got it, because if you guys had got it, you'd have still been cracking it now.
No, we would have sold it already to you. We were already mass marketed it, sold it to China, and then it would have been sent out to somebody else,
Poor China. Good evening, Miz, anyway. A regular viewer, to be fair, and yeah, I don't understand your message, so if you want to break it down to more smaller syllables for me, I'm from Liverpool, you need to work that out. I sometimes don't understand big words like see and that and you. But yeah, nevertheless, as I said, Mark, congratulations, and you did have an investigation linked to your competition with regards to the 3,000 subscribers, where you grabbed two members of the public and dragged them out with you. How did that pan out for you?
It went really well. We went to a place called Hooverstand, which is just on the outskirts of Rotherham. It's a place where I have investigated hundreds of times over the years, and the place never seems to fail to deliver, in the sense of the paranormal. It's a very mysterious place. Sometimes you go and all hell seems to break loose. Other times you go and it seems to be a little bit more quiet, but nevertheless, you always seem to come away with something, and we certainly came away with a lot that night. And the two guys that came with us, Desney and Paul, I don't know if they're watching this show right now. I have obviously shared the link out onto our page, so if you are, hi guys. But they thoroughly enjoyed the night, and it was the first ever paranormal investigation that they did, and I think they ended up coming away with a lot more than what they expected themselves. It was a fantastic night.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the video. I've seen how it started off. It was you and you and Kyle are in the car, and you're driving up and talking away, and then you say, "Well, we're going to go and pick them up."
Yep.
And then the gentleman in the centre, what was his name? Sorry.
That's Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
He was very confident when you first started talking to him. And for people who were listening, guys, you need to go on the YouTube channel and watch it, because he's very confident. You can see in his face he's very collective, and then the next minute his face just changes as if to say,
"Yep.
Oh no, what have I done?"
Yep.
Uh-oh. I love it. We've had people come out with us in the past when we've gone out on investigation, and it's been perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden the person sort of changes and goes quiet, and you're like, "What's wrong?"
Yeah.
And the reality kicks in that they're in the middle of a dark building on their own. You're like, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
What is the worst that could happen? Yeah.
Mark, how big is your team, by the way, and how old is your team?
Well,
Not
team
age, not your age. I'm not looking at your age. I'm saying in general. In general.
The team, Paranormal-X. Paranormal-X was actually set up by me in September of last year. So we're coming up to maybe 10 months, 9-10 months since Paranormal-X was set up. The team originally started out with 3 of us. We then expanded to 4, and we've now dropped back down to 2. And as it stands right now, it is just me and Kyle.
That if I could, this is going to sound horrible. So if my team are listening to me, sorry, I don't mean this to sound horrible. But when we started for what we were doing, when I used to have a team here in Liverpool, there was 2 of us, and because when there's 2 people, the logistics changes. Sometimes when you have a larger team, you need to find a place that caters for the larger team. There's more logistics. There's more move this person there, watch that person there, make sure that person's doing okay. Is this person? It's just basically all the politenesses of making sure everything's running. When there's 2 of you, it's like you get in the car and go. Simple as that. And I love that type of investigating. I love the fact that you can just get in a car, say, do you want to go here? Just go. You're done.
Don't get me wrong, it can be very difficult when it is just the 2 of you. If you've got bags and bags of equipment and multiple cameras, it can be very hard work. But in the same breath, as you say, you just get and go.
Yeah. I missed that. I missed that. It was one of the best types. But nevertheless, I mean, if you've got a team that's gone from a large amount back down to a small amount, and you've catered the equipment for a large amount of people, and then you shrink down to a couple of people, that must have bit you on the backside. But nevertheless, I mean, more equipment is better to have more than not enough. And especially when you look at some of the equipment that you guys have got as well. I mean, I know you're a relatively new team as well, which, I mean, we've been doing the VidCast for over a year. We've been doing the radio for 3 collectively between me and Kurt done more than me. And as a team, I ran from 2012. And I've just about accumulated the same amount of stuff that you've already got. You've done really well with all the equipment that you've got. But
I've personally been in the paranormal industry for about 10-11 years myself. I am a full-time working psychic medium clairvoyant. That is what I do for a living. That is my day job.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Paranormal-X really is just an extension, if you like, of my work as a psychic. But in answer to Kurt's question as well, over the years of me working in this industry, I have worked with numerous other paranormal groups. I have been lead psychic medium for other groups, and it's lovely being a part of other groups, but I've always wanted my own, and hence I woke up one morning last year, October, September time, and I thought, you know what, I want my own team, and I made it happen. And since that, the team has just grown and grown and grown, and we're just going from strength to strength. It's just unbelievable.
No, that's brilliant. Again, we have a good friend of the show, Carl Hassel, runs a team called Dark Arts Paranormal, and he does much the same as what you guys do. He will film what he does and he'll put it straight up onto YouTube. And as a guy goes, when we first spoke to him, he was very prim, proper, polite, very nice guy.
Yeah.
When you've known him as long as we've known him, he turns into a big child with what he does, and he's hilarious. And as he is the type of person, he's exactly you. He is the person who woke up one morning and said, I'm going to give it a go, and then just give it a go. There's no worrying about how he's going to do it, worrying about what he has to say. He just done it. And I mean, I've got massive props for people who do that. I mean, that's the way it should be. If you want to do something, you just do it.
But to follow what you're saying, though, sometimes you get the best results from the people that do that than you do the people that are so methodical that, that they plan this, they plan that, they plan this, they plan that. And then this is the way it's got to go. You got to be here. But if you kind of do it in a free way, you're going to catch more, I think, in that sense. I mean, that's my firm belief in that have a go at it.
I totally agree, Kurt.
But in saying that, now, I mean, you, as we were saying a little bit earlier, with you guys, you've got a lot of equipment, especially considering what I've seen through the channel and through your videos that you've put out. You've got quite a lot of equipment. Now, what would you class as the kit that you would take all the time?
The kit that I would take all the time. That's quite a difficult one because I love all the equipment because it's all got its own pros and cons. But
yes.
if I were limited to say just a few bits, or the best bits, so to speak, it would have to be the spirit box without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I'd definitely take a spirit box. I would take the REM pod, and possibly the SLS camera.
Yeah. SLS it's a really good piece of equipment. The SLS, I've ran 2 out on investigation. I've ran them off grid in an old abandoned asylum in Wales a few times. And when I first seen that piece of equipment, I don't know what your opinion was but when I first seen it, I thought, well, this is one. It looks like it's just a gimmicky toy. And
Which one?
the SLS X cam.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not a very big, at the time, not a very big believer. In the times I've tested it, I've had surprising results. It's came out really well. So
like your radiator? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh my God! Yeah, at the time it mapped my radiator. I thought my radiator was a child. My radiator in the living room. I'm sitting there testing it. I'm talking to Kate, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm going, I don't get that. It was my radiator, just the corner of my radiator. I was like, yeah.
You have to be careful. You do have to be careful with it. I've known it as well. Track. Or try to track in stools, chairs, table legs, sometimes, door frames. Sometimes it will track, something that isn't genuinely there. But with me, as far as the SLS camera goes, I actually started out with nothing more than the Kinect sensor hooked up to my laptop. And obviously, it was working great. We used to take that out on investigation. But because the Kinect sensor on a laptop requires mains power to get it working, you're limited. So I wanted the SLS camera. I managed to find one for sale on eBay, and I purchased it, and it's been fantastic. It's not faltered, it's not let me down, it's fully portable, absolutely love it, and it's given us some really incredible responses. If you truly are a spirit, can you wave at us? And the next thing, this thing's waving at you. If you truly are a spirit, can you do that again? And it does it again, and it's like, who is there? What are we communicating with? It's fantastic.
Now, for people who are listening to what Mark's just said, then that's from one of his videos from St. Catherine's. If you watch it, it's about 40 minutes in. You'll actually see it wave its hand, the frame of something was waving its hand in a doorway. Now, I've seen, as I said in the past, or as I've said numerous times on the show, I've seen the SLS X cam map things that it shouldn't map because it's told that it's programmed to map a human frame. If you put a box in front of it with a ball on top, it will believe it's a human. But when it's mapping it inside the doorway and it's not touching points in the doorway, which is what you caught done, there was nothing for it to map. There was nothing there for it to map. It was not the doorway. It was in the doorway.
That's right.
How big was the specter, would you say, when you saw it, Mark? I mean, would you say how many? I got to think the British term versus American term. Like, we go by inches, you go by centimeters. How tall was it? I mean, was it a child size? Was it, let's say, an adult? Was it?
I believe it was probably a teenager. Somewhere maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 foot, something like that.
Okay.
Possibly. I don't believe it was a child. I don't believe it was an adult. I think it was somewhere in between.
Okay, cool.
Dude, how many investigations has you and your team got under your belt for the past couple of months?
We do on average 2 investigations a week, but naturally some weeks it can be more, some weeks it can be less. But in the last couple of months, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, because I know you guys have filled your YouTube channel at the moment with footage, and I'm looking back at your channel, look at our channel, and go, we've got about 140 videos up, and most of them are just vidcasts. A few of them are documentaries, and a few of them are just videos which we put to one side for people who just to leave them curious. And and your channel, it's gaining traction so quick with the amount of footage you guys are throwing at it. I mean, a lot of the filming equipment you use, you and your team are using, it's not amateur stuff.
No.
I know. I've seen. Don't you use GoPro sessions?
Yeah, we've got GoPro Sessions, we've got GoPro Hero Silvers, we've got multiple of them, and obviously they're not cheap. We've got, in the room that I'm in right now, obviously you guys will not see it, but I've got a huge Sony, it's a HXR MC2500 shoulder cam, a broadcast cam. We use that for the interview, so it looks professional. We've got all the night vision Sony Handycams. We've got, I don't even know what I've got. I've got
Mark, what you're doing, Mark, right now? This is like pornography for Mo. I'm sitting here going like just watching Mo start sweating. He's like sweating. He's listening to everything you have, and all that going, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. And it's getting worse and worse and worse.
My partner, she says, how many cameras do you need? And it's like, my opinion is, you can never have enough.
Oh, of course.
The more cameras you've got, the more chance you've got of capturing something. Yeah, you've got more footage to review, but the more chance you've got of capturing evidence as well.
Of course. Now I've got upstairs. I want to say this way. So hopefully, if my wife's not watching now, I'm safe. If she's watching right now, I'm in trouble.
Ooh.
I've got numerous DSLR cameras.
Numerous is good. It's very vague sounding. I like the numerous.
Numerous DSLRs and lenses and video cameras and shoulder mounts and sliders. I've spent a lot of money on exactly what you wanted. At least you got away with it. You were involved.
Mo, you gotta go GoPro, dude. You're like behind the scene, behind the times with it. Dude, I'm so GoPro heavy. I just broke this one. It fell down. I'm like, crap. Now I gotta pay X amount of money. But I keep my silvers are like my specialty ones. Yeah. You know, the GoPro Silver 3 Plus are the ones I live for. I mean, I don't play with them to make them, do all the tricks and that. But it's great for going down the road or at nighttime if you got like some camera, you got a torch or something like that, throw it on your head and just go.
Portability. Well, I mean, when you guys do your drive-through footage for when you're just before the investigation, and you and Kyle are talking in the car, you mount 2 GoPros to the window. I did notice that the 2 GoPro sessions, the footage and the angles and everything, you set it up right. I like that. It's quite rare for people to actually get it right. Normally, I mean, I've done it in the past myself, where I've mounted a camera and I've tried to mount it for an interview, for instance, when I've gone out to do an interview. I'll mount the camera, point it back, I'll try and get the lighting right before I know it. I'll review the footage of where it's angling, and I'm looking totally past my own face. I'm like, you idiot. But yeah, it is what it is. What is your favourite piece of equipment? And you cannot mention the piece of equipment that you've just built, because I know you built a piece of equipment not so long ago.
Just say that again, because the connection broke up a little bit.
Sorry, I said, what is your favourite piece of equipment, but you are not allowed to mention the piece of equipment that you built a few months
ago. If I had to pick an absolute favourite, it would probably be the Spirit Box.
Good man, good man. Now, Kate, I think haven't you had one of them, Kate?
Yeah, I sold it. I didn't like it. I don't. I'll be honest with you, Mark. I don't buy into the Spirit Boxes too much due to the fact of I'd rather you get a nice recorder, get a Tascam, get a Zoom or something that I could hear a quiet.
I've got the Zooms.
Yeah, you got to get the Zooms, your Tascams. I'm more into that than I was actually into that. I like to buy it, try it, debate, because right now I sold a REM pod. Now I want a REM pod again, but I'm thinking also starting to use more compasses when I'm looking for EMF fields, because save the money. You can put it in the gas, you can buy food, you can buy other equipment, cameras and stuff like that. If I'm not buying REM pods, my Mel REMs, and you know what I'm talking about. All the pieces of kit. So I mean.
Okay, Mark. Now let's look into you and how you started. When you first initially started this, you didn't. I don't mean the group, but I mean getting into the paranormal. You possibly never woke up in the morning and said, "Oh, well, I'll just get into the paranormal." What got you into it?
To cut a very long story short, Mo, it was many years ago now. I got invited on a ghost hunt, on a paranormal investigation. I was about 20 years old, so I'm going back maybe 10 years now, 11 years.
Yeah.
I'd never been on a paranormal investigation before in my life. It was an opportunity to go with a few friends, and I thought, why not? I'll go along, and I'll go along for the laugh. And it was ultimately more for a laugh. And when I got there, the place was, well, basically, again, to cut a long short, there was that much stuff happening around me that I could not explain. I was being touched, I was being pushed, I was being pulled, I was hearing voices right in the side of my ear and there's nobody there. I was seeing balls of light with the naked eye that didn't have any logical explanation for. Not just that, but there were a medium there that night, and this medium came up to me and he said, "Your granddad is with you right now." He gave me my granddad's first name, he gave me his surname, he told me exactly how he looked, he told me all sorts about my granddad, everything he said was bang on, and then he also said to me, "By the way, you're a medium yourself, but you've not yet figured this out, and when you do, you'll go far with it." I then come home from this investigation, and about a week later I was sat in my house, I was sat in the living room, and there was nobody in the house, just me, and I was sitting on my settee in the living room, and I said, "Granddad, I've never done this before. If you really are here with me right now, wherever you may be, can you give me a sign?" About 5-10 minutes passed, nothing. No signs, nothing. So I asked again. But this time, instead of saying, "Can you give me a sign of your presence?" I asked, "Could you give me a sign to let me know what you meant when you said that I'm a medium myself?" 5-10 minutes later, nothing happened. I thought nothing of it, and I thought, I'm obviously speaking to myself here. So I turned the television on because the TV had been off. I turned the television on. When I turned the television on, there was a program on about Hulk Hogan, the wrestler. And the weird thing is, this medium picked up on my granddad looking like Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, which my granddad in question was the spitting image of Hulk Hogan, the wrestler. And this program was on about Hulk Hogan, and I thought nothing of it. I thought, that's a bit weird, but maybe it's just coincidence. Well, I don't really have any interest in wrestling or Hulk Hogan, so I turned the TV over. The next channel that came on, the next program, was all about psychics and mediums, and I started freaking out. You know, I just asked my granddad for a sign 10 minutes previously. What do I need to do? What does this mean? Why did this medium say I'm a medium? And then the next thing, I'm seeing things about Hulk Hogan, which reminds me of my granddad. Program about psychics and mediums, which is obviously relevant to what I'm speaking about right now.
Yeah.
I then started to, look at my local spiritual church, and that's really where it all started. The second I walked into a spiritual church, I just felt like I was at home, and that was all them years ago. And since then, I have just never looked back.
And that's one thing I will suggest to anybody, regardless to who you are, and your faith, your belief, your religion, it doesn't matter. Go and take yourself down to a spiritualist church and give the guys the benefit of a doubt. We've got one in Liverpool. I've spent a bit of time with them. I've dealt with a few of them in the past where I've been in very deep conversations. I've actually interviewed one of them. And literally that was a random interview. I didn't even know it was going to happen until it happened. But I learned a lot. Because it's all down to the questions you ask, especially when you go to see somebody. I know you don't believe in mediums and psychics, Kurt.
No, I just wish Harry Houdini was alive to kick you in the balls live on air. That's all. That was sweet, man. That was a little bit of this, Mo. You're throwing a little bit of this at me.
Yeah, no. I had something happen to me in 2001 involving a psychic, which is the one sole reason why I will always have. I'll always be on a fence where psychics are concerned. I will never be a naysayer, right? My granddad died when I was 21. He died of cancer. I never went to visit him when he passed away, and it kicked myself about it because I was 20. I always had something better to do, as you do at that age. And then it got to a point where I literally just missed him. I got told an hour after he died. So I was like, okay, it got to me a little bit. And I went to, there's a shop, used to be a shop in Liverpool called Quiggins. It was a very large store full of goth clothing shop, like clothes. It had loads of music shops. It was just basically like a alternative teen shop, but it was huge. And on the top floor there was a cafe, like a restaurant cafe. And next to it was a medium in a shop basically. And I walked past and she's standing there, she's smoking by the door. And I led on to her, I said hello to her, like you would. And as I walked past, I went, do you know what, can I just ask you a question? Simple as, can I just ask you a question? And she went, you don't need to worry, your granddad's not angry with you, he understands. And
whoa, dude, that's pretty heavy.
I've got witnesses to it, and I burst out crying in the middle of the shop. Wow. I didn't know what to do. I turned into a sack of spuds, and then she took me in and she said, listen, this is what happened, this is what happens, and she explained pretty much everything. She took about a good hour to talk to me, and refused payment at the end of it. She said, you just need to hear.
Have you actually been back to her? I mean, I know you'd have to pay if you had a return, but I know you don't do that.
The shop shut.
Have you ever swung by just to say hello and
the shop,
just a breeze?
The entire shop where she's from is shut. The entire Quiggins shut down, and she went somewhere else. Now, I can find out who she is. That wouldn't be a problem.
That'd be a fun one to talk to.
She was in her 60s then, so I don't know whether she would still be prepared to talk, but I've spoke to a lot of mediums we've spoke to a lot of mediums, me and Kurt, who would say the mediums, but
they're dodgy. I'll be honest, some of them are real dodgy.
I'll leave you to that one, Kurt, but we spoke to a lot where at the end of it I've gone, my God, they've pulled some stuff out there from nowhere, from absolutely nowhere. So on that basis, I'll always say to people, give a spiritualist church a chance, go there, ask the questions. Even if you just go there as a total skeptic, and by the way, if you go as a total skeptic, chances are they'll point you out when you walk in. Simple as. Very good. But where mediumship's concerned, again, as I said, it is an art that I think we need to look more into. We don't spend a lot of...
How much of the human brain, guys, do we actually use? We're wired. Exactly. We're wired, certainly. I'm doing a new form of therapy right now. I don't like to announce this on the air, but I have bipolar disorder, and I see a guy who teaches a special form of meditation. and it's supposed to. And they do it with soldiers that come back with PTSD to rewire the brain as it's supposed to be. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, Mark, what's some craziest thing that's ever happened to you that made you go, whoa, I can't believe I just pulled that out from nothing to, I mean, as your experience?
I could give you hundreds of examples to answer that.
Okay.
I'm going to give one example. It may sound a little bit vague, but the reason I'm going to keep it vague is out of privacy for the people
Understand.
who's reading the book,
Yeah. Understand.
which I'm sure you can respect that. But
Yeah.
what I will say is, this was a few years ago now, maybe 3-4 years ago. I went to bed at night and I woke up in the early hours of the morning, and I swear that somebody in the spirit world told me at the side of my bed while I was awake. They woke me up and they said, "Mark, you are going to meet my mum today." And I didn't know if I was sleeping, I didn't know if I was dreaming, I didn't know what the hell was happening, but I accepted it was probably a message from spirit, from a young man in the spirit world. "Mark, you are going to meet my mum today." Well, anyway, I ended up waking up at about 6:15 that particular morning, so 2-3 hours later I'd woke up. When I woke up, I was actually a little bit upset. I was very emotional. My partner's obviously laid in bed next to me, and she says, "What's the matter with you? Why have you woke up almost crying?" And I said, "You know, I've had this dream that a gent in the spirit world has come to me. He's told me how he died, and he's told me that I'm going to meet his mum today." Well, the weird thing is, my partner turned around and said, "Are you joking?" And I said, "No, why?" And she says, "Because I've also had a dream that she has also heard the same man in the bedroom at the same time." Certainly me and her had the same dream, which is a bit weird in itself. But anyway, about 3 hours later, this is now about 9 o'clock in the morning, I basically received a telephone call of a lady who were wanting to book for a private reading. So I proceeded to book her in, and I don't know what came over me, but something came over me, and I believed that whoever it was that had visited me in the middle of the night was actually connected to the lady that was ringing me. So on the telephone, bear in mind I've never met this woman before in my life, on the telephone I said, "You have a son in the spirit world?" And she says, "Yeah, how do you know that?" I says, "Because I believe that he has visited me in the middle of the night and told me that I'm going to meet his mum today, and I think you are his mum." Well, anyway, we'd actually booked the private reading to happen 3-4 days later, but because of the circumstances, I actually agreed to go down there and then. You know, strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. While all this is fresh in my mind, go straight down. So I went straight down. About 9:30, 9:45 in the morning, I arrived at this lady's house, and basically there were things that came through about her son. I'll keep it short, but her son basically passed away in the military. He passed away, I believe, in either Afghanistan or Iraq. I forget which, but it was obviously, you know, in recent times. And there was things that I told her that only the military and her knew. And I actually thought at points within this reading that I was giving this lady new or fresh information about her son's passing. But unbeknown to me, she already knew, but she didn't know how I knew.
Yeah.
You know, and it was to do with how he passed and how it was portrayed of how he passed. And I'm giving this lady what I believed was new information about his passing. And at the end of the reading, she says, "Mark, you know, everything you've told me, I already know. But there's no way on this earth that you could know, because this is private stuff. Yes, you could have quite easily gone on the internet and researched about my son. You know, you've only got to type in a soldier's name on the internet and you can get information about them. The things that I told her are not even on the internet. They are things that happened in a court with one of the army marshals and her and a court marshal. And to cut a long story short, there were things that I even spoke about that in itself that she couldn't understand how I knew. But that's just one example. I could give you hundreds. You know, there are times. I'll just give another one very quickly. This was only about 3, maybe 4 months ago. I went to a place called Doncaster, which is a town in the United Kingdom, and there were a group of 6 women there that booked me for private readings. I went out, I did the 6 private readings, and everything was fine. And the last lady that I saw, her dad had passed away, and he came through in her reading, and he really took over the reading, and it was him that was doing all the talking, all the messages. Well, right at the end of the session, I said to the lady, I hope that was all right. I hope you can take something from it. Thank you very much for letting me speak to you. Please don't thank me. Thank your dad, as I always do. And she says, can I ask you a question, Mark? And I said, yeah, by all means. And she says, everything that you've said is bang on. I have no reason to disbelieve. I have no reason to say I don't think that that was my dad. I accept it was my dad. But could you tell me his name? And I said to her, I don't like being put on the spot. I don't like being tested, but you've asked a question and I will try and answer it. So I'm sat there after spending half an hour chatting to this spirit, to her dad, and I said, come on, give me a name. You've gave me everything else. You've done a fantastic job. Just give me a name. And I sat there and all I kept hearing was Flick, F-L-I-C-K, Flick. And I said to him, in my mind, stop messing about. I want your name. Your daughter wants your name. Give me a name. I heard it again, Flick. I said to this lady, I says, you've asked for a name. I am getting some information, but I don't believe it's a name. And she said, you're getting. And I said, all I keep hearing is Flick. I says, but to me, that's not a name. Well, she says, his name was Chris. However, everybody called him Flick. She showed me a picture of her father's headstone, and even on the headstone, it said Flick.
Was it just a nickname, basically, or?
Yeah.
It was a nickname, Flick. Flick, F-L-I-C-K, Flick. And she said to me, if you'd have said Chris, I'd have been pretty impressed. But because you've said Flick, that is just totally like beyond the realms of science and understanding. How the hell you could have got that, I don't know. And I honestly didn't think it was a name, because Flick to me isn't a name. It's just a word. But that's another example, and I think I freaked myself out there as well. You know, it's like, oh my God, how do I actually do this? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know all the answers about the spirit world, because I don't. None of us do. We're all learning. But I think sometimes I do freak myself.
Of course, of course. Does it ever negatively affect you with what you do?
It used to do in the early days. Now, not so much. I'm not going to say no, it doesn't, because yes, it still does, depending on what it is, whether it's a bad spirit, a good spirit, or I've been drained or whatever. But I now just accept it more. I just accept it. I don't question it. I don't argue with it. I just accept it.
Mark, are you a religious person, or are you more into the spiritual realm of things? Or are you pretty much you just do what you do, it just comes to you naturally kind of deal, aside from religion and spirituality and all that?
As far as religion goes, I am a Christian. Now, Christianity says this work is forbidden. You know, the Bible is forbidden. You're working for the devil, blah, blah, blah. That's fair enough, you know, but I consider myself to be a Christian. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But I don't go to church every Sunday. I don't follow Christianity the way that I should. I shouldn't even be doing the work if I was a true Christian, but I still consider myself to be a Christian. So I don't get too wrapped up in the religious side of it. I do focus more on the spiritual side, and really just, like I've said already, I just accept it. I don't question it anymore. I just go with it, and if I've got a message, I deliver that message. And it's almost like I just feel compelled to do this now. You know, this is what I do for a living.
I would love to go to a neurologist. Have you hooked up and have Mo hooked up, you know, wired up? Because I've had to do sleep studies and stuff like that for insomnia. Just to see what part of the brains are kicking off in your head, Mark, and what part in Mo's. Just to see the difference of the two, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot would be in Mo's, but I think more would be in
I was waiting for that.
No, you knew that was coming. You gave it to me. It was a gift. I'll take that as a gift.
It certainly, as far as being able to test this, it'd certainly give some interesting results, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. I don't think it's as much testing it. I think it's to just see a little bit deeper into what part of the brain would trigger for what you do. I think that is actually a really fascinating thing. And secondly, Kate, if I ever got wired to one of them machines, they'd probably think I've flatlined.
I've got hooked up to it, and I had a sleep study done one time because insomnia, and it led to bipolar disorder issues and all this other crap. And the guy next to me snored all night long. I didn't sleep. So I had to go back again for a second round, and my insurance wouldn't cover it. So I'm like, I'm not going to do it. But it was a freaking nightmare. Dude, being hooked up, and they wake you up every certain amount of hours, and then, you know, to do a readout and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. But I would love to see what heats up in the brain of you, Mark, versus Mo, being asked the same questions, being put in the same state of not quite REM, but a little bit above REM, and see what kind of kicks off in both your brains. Because I think that would be just the most interesting thing. And then bring another psychic in, or somebody who is a medium, and do the same thing. And use Mo as, keep Mo there too, and just kind of use all three of you to see what parts of the brain are receiving anything and what parts are not. I mean, it's just an idea, but it would be interesting.
You said it yourself, Kurt. How much of the human brain do we use?
What, 10%? They say is that the latest, or
something like that? Which leaves, if it is 10%, let's just say it is 10% for the sake of argument. What's the other 90% doing?
It's gray. It's a gray area, though.
I don't think we'll ever know that, and do you know what? Just on the grounds that we don't know that, I'm happy not knowing, because your capabilities. I mean, it gives you the diverse capabilities, as you know, with Mark, medium, me. I haven't got a clue what I can do. I think I just sit here. But just to point out to you guys, by the way, I've got a few questions appeared in the chat room a little earlier, so I'm apologies to people in the chat room. I'm not ignoring you. I just get enthralled in conversation.
Yeah, we're good at ignoring people. It's like if we don't like the question, we refuse to answer. So the question's got to be good for our guests.
So
if not.
I'm just going to turn the questions off in the chat because I don't care. Now I'm only messing them up. The question that came through, the first question was from I love this. Mizuno Kage has put in the chat room, do you think cats can see ghosts?
Are you asking me?
Hell yeah. It's all on you.
I believe animals can sense spirit, yes. Cats, dogs, horses, rabbits, anything with a heartbeat has the ability to pick up on psychic ability, spiritual energy. Without a shadow of a doubt, yes, I do.
Okay, but do you think at the same time, because the show Ghost Hunters Taps did that, they brought a dog in that they use also Ghost Adventures. I mean, there's a part of me that's saying if you're going to put an animal in a situation like that and it scares the animal, that's kind of animal cruelty in its own way. I mean, let's say you live but let's say you live in a house that is active, and my cat's running around doing walls, and people are wondering why I got a thumb bone in my top drawer. No, I didn't say that out loud, did I? Hopefully it's 1,000 years old or older. But it's still sitting in there. One day I'll break it out for everybody to see. And then if the cops kick the door down, it's been real. But to be honest with you, though, I mean, I look at that as almost, in a sense, animal cruelty, in a sense. If you bring an animal into that situation that's not trained enough, because you do get these groups that watch TV. They have these grand ideas that they're using on TV, do it themselves, and they're scaring the hell out of these animals. I don't know. Mo hates animals.
No. It's not that I disagree. I totally disagree, because if an animal can see something from the other side, it doesn't matter where they are and who they're with. They'll see something from the other side. So it could just be an occupational hazard for an animal. It could just be a day-to-day thing they go through. So whether they're with ghost hunters or anyone like that, it makes no difference. I think it's.
But but in a sense, though, it's like, Mo, let's say you guys are lucky. You guys on that side of the pond are freaking lucky where you get to go. Mo's got his choice. I've talked to Mo numerous times. I mean, he fills me in. He sends me pictures daily of the cool places that we can't go to over here. And Mark, I'm sure it's the exact same with you. But to bring a dog in there, more than likely, it's going to smell out some piss bum who's passed out drunk and just shat himself. More likely than he is any ghost. But in a sense, who's got the ability to train a dog to do that? A cat, they're so frisky anyway. I mean, my cat can see a shadow from my bottom apartment and go crazy. But you're gonna have to bleep that one out. Bleep that one out, too.
Kurt, in my opinion, I think the key word that you used there was train. How do you train these animals? I don't believe this is something that can be taught. I believe it is something that we can all do. People often say to me, how long have you had this gift? I don't consider it a gift. I consider it an ability. I've got ability, you've got ability, Mo's got ability, the people listening to this have got ability, we've all got ability. It's whether you want to use it. And animals are no different. Animals have ability just like we do. They have their own free will to decide to get up, to go for a dump. They have their own free will to decide to get up and go for something to eat. They have the choice, they have the ability, and I think it's rather than training, I think it's more if the animal's just susceptible to it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I just think that Kurt went on an absolute wild tangent because he wanted to talk about.
I do
He
that.
just wanted to talk
I
about
do that
bums.
sometimes. Let's talk about piss bombs. Mo, how many times have you told me you've been in an investigation? There's some guy who's pissed out of his mind
Yeah,
who wants
yeah.
to come along with you. That's a piss bomb. You're
We-
not the piss bums or the piss bum in the corner who's passed out and soiled
Okay.
himself.
Here's one for you, Mark. In the middle of Wales, there's an old abandoned lunatic asylum, they'll call it. I just call it an old hospital. I don't know if you're aware of it. Begins with D.
Uh,
I'm not testing you, but I just think we didn't exactly have permission to be there. We'll call it.
Oh, I thought at first I knew
okay.
I thought it was a test, but
Whilst we were in there, we were filming, and then the next minute we hear a noise in the corner. We turn our cameras around, and there's a guy walking towards us like a zombie.
Oh my god!
He was just a drunk fella, and me, camera tripod. I put the camera tripod to the floor and went, mate, you better stop walking. I'm warning you to stop walking now. And he went, whoa, I didn't see you there. Total darkness. I was like, dude,
Wow.
you're nuts. So yeah, that's what care means. It's an occupational hazard of being naive.
that's a piss bomb. That's what I'm talking about. That's a piss bomb.
Correct. Now, I'm going to move on to the next question which came out in the chat room from the same person, being Mizuno Kage. I'll get your name right one day. Have you ever been somewhere alone at night investigating and just got that feeling that something wanted you dead and to get the F out?
Yes, that happens quite a lot. Whether it's me spiritually picking up on that, feeling that there's somebody there, feeling that there's somebody wanting me dead, or sometimes hearing it through the spirit box, Mark, kill Mark, or capturing EVPs saying, hurt Mark. I do believe that I have actually seen the devil only once in all the years that I've done this. Once, I believe I've seen the devil. And if anybody's wondering what the hell that's all about, go and check out Paranormal-X on YouTube and search for the St. Mary's Devil's Graveyard investigation, and you will see exactly why I believe I've seen the devil. Obviously, seeing something like that does sometimes make you want to get the hell out. Yes, I'm not going to sit here and say, I've never been afraid. Sometimes my backside goes like that.
That's because you are human.
It's because, exactly, it's just a human reaction to feel fear, but it's learning to control that fear. It's like tonight. Tonight at midnight, I am actually going to, when this live stream's finished, I'm off out to do a lone vigil in the most notoriously haunted woods around this area, and I'm going to be doing a live Facebook stream. Call me crazy, call me what you want, but there probably will be things happen tonight that make my backside go like that. But
you know what though? Again, you have an idea and you follow it through. I think that's brilliant. And again, where your channel's concerned with what you do, you and Kyle, I've got nothing but respect for the way you've done it so far. It's brilliantly. It's been done brilliantly. Now, as for tonight, I think you're about as mad as a box of frogs. I think you should take some form of mobile phone just in case.
Well, that won't be any good because you don't get no signal in the woods. So
right. Nutter. Nut job.
I'm hoping I can get some signal, because if I can't get any signal, obviously I can't do the live stream, but I will still take a camera and I'll record myself and I'll be able to make a little film out of it should my mobile phone not be able to connect.
Okay,
yeah, because hang on a second. No, that's because that's the top thing on your list. I heard you say I'm hoping, and I was wondering where the conversation's going. No, I'm hoping I can pull a live stream. I would have expected. I hope I come home alive. I hope I don't fall down a ditch. I hope
that doesn't even cross my mind. It's not something that has even entered up here. So.
Okay, I got a question for both of you guys. And this came from my cell phone because I'm also getting questions blown through this way that aren't in the chat room. There's a group in this real special part of the United States that sometimes I wonder in certain parts all about it, and I'm not going to say anything negative. But there's a group out there that's they are TAPS members, and I'm not going to say their names because they might be watching. They tend to believe cats can become possessed, and that was their topic. That somebody brought them into a thing saying their cat was possessed. They believed it, and they have been spreading that around like it's nobody's business. And Mo, I'll send you all the information as soon as I get it about the conversation that's already screenshotted, I'm sure, and all the go. It's only in Missouri does this happen. nowhere else in the United States. I think it's a cancer growing from that spot.
The thing with the US, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Mark, but a lot of the US, and please, guys in the chat room, this is not a dig. I don't mean this to sound bad, but you can tell in the US, different places, the different type of evidence that they pull in. If you're in the Bible Belt, everything's demonic, regardless. Even McDonald's is demonic. If you're up north, it's all about having muscles and investigating. If you're from the deep south, you go and find a mine, or you go out and try and find Squatch or something like that. But there's different types of evidence that they do seem to pull from different places in America, and it's not bad.
It's a great point, though. But then again, I mean, a possessed cat, I got to call BS to that one, dude. I don't care if the person's watching or not. I apologize, but bullshit. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say to that one right there. And this has been a long time coming.
I'd like to say something about that, Kurt. It's the first I've heard of it, so thank you for putting that out there. But what I would say in regards to possessions and my own opinions and belief on it is that possessions can happen. They do happen.
Yeah.
They are very rare. They are very rare, but they can happen. If they can happen to us, they could happen to an animal. I wouldn't rule it out completely. I wouldn't totally write it off just because it may sound a little bit far-fetched.
There's no... Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. All I was going to say is, does it sound far-fetched that I claim to speak to dead people?
Well,
is there any difference? A possessed cat, somebody who speaks to the dead.
Over and I see my cat's head start to turn, spewing green pea soup all over the place, starts guttural rows. What am I going to do? Oh, it's possessed by a demon. Now, if I'm part of a legion, why the hell am I going to possess a cat? I mean, think of anything you could possess, and if you got that much power, that much anger, that much energy, I'm coming after you, son. Because the reason I'm coming after you, because you got abilities I could use. Mo, he's got a beard and he looks like a boy band. You, I'm going to go after because your abilities are there. And you open yourself up for it. I don't care how you ground yourself. It can happen, I guess, right?
Maybe the cat has some sort of ability.
That makes more sense, because if you look back through history, cats have been worshipped, literally worshipped. So I'll give it that. Leave me boy band beard alone, because you can't grow a beard. You're 12-year-old. But
14, thank you.
Yeah, no. Now, if you don't mind, Mark, we're going to move on to the PX1.
Yeah.
Please explain to people about the PX1.
The PX1, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Steve Huff. I know Kurt probably has. I'm not here to talk about Steve Huff. I'm here to talk about...
No, Kurt. Shut up, Kurt.
I'm not here to speak... I'm not here to speak about...
No. I don't like certain people out there. I'm not going to say why, who, what, where, when, why.
It's all right. He's not talking about Steve Huff. He's talking about something else. Go on.
But the only reason I mention Steve Huff is because Steve Huff, obviously, as I'm sure a lot of you guys who are listening, has his portal devices and this, that, and the other, devices that he's built himself.
Yeah.
It was actually him that inspired me to build my own little portal device, which, I'll be honest with you, is not actually that much different to his portal device. The only difference between my portal and his portal is the amp. Other than that, every other part of the PX1 is the exact same as what Steve Huff uses in his portal.
Is that the same? Is that similar, Mark, to what they're using on Paranormal Lockdown with Nick Roth and
yes.
Katrina the girl? Okay, that's pretty cool. That's actually really cool piece of equipment. I mean, it beats the Spirit Box. It gives me a headache, even if it's the dual, bandwidth one. That just gives me a headache when I watch it on TV. But it's kind of cool in a sense. It's got a whole different feel to it. Than,
what I can do with the PX1 is I can eliminate radio noise. I can cancel out as much radio noise as I want. I can leave as much radio noise in as I want. I can also add echoes and reverbs, which there's no guarantee that that's going to help spirit. It's just a theory that by using echoes and reverbs could maybe amplify or help the spirits. It's not scientific fact, it's just theory. It's just an experimental ITC device, just like the Spirit Box, just like the Ovilus, just like any other form of, ITC. It's just an experimental device, but what I will say is when I have used it, as it has given us some, in my own opinion, some incredible responses. And if you want to check them out, head over to YouTube, search for Paranormal-X and watch our 30 East Drive, the UK's Most Haunted Homes, Episode 1. About halfway through that particular film, you'll see the PX1 in action, and you will see the clarity, the clear, direct, and intelligent responses that we get to our questions is just phenomenal.
I'm glad.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mo.
I'm glad you've actually taken it, that you've had a go at doing it. I really am, because the thing now, as you said yourself a little bit earlier, you said you're not talking about Steve Huff, you're talking about what he's developed. As a piece of equipment goes, I think he really done a good thing. He gave everybody a basis of something to do. Now, on the video where you describe how you knocked it all together, you were saying it does have features, like for instance the one you've got has a delay, it has an audio in, it has an audio out, and it's the little things that obviously the amplifiers added for you to be able to do more with it, even going as far as using inductive pickup mics if you wanted to. And I think it's a really smart piece of equipment, and of all the pieces of equipment that are out on the market that anybody can mass produce or anybody can have a go at, and anyone can build, it's the one piece of equipment that I think if I had the time, the logistical time, to build it, I definitely would. I definitely 100% would.
But one thing, Mo, about you, though, that's different, and I agree with Mark, probably is similar, too, is you guys aren't building for profit. It's not like you're digital dowsing or, you know, whatever. And you do it for your own investigative purposes. You don't do it to mass sell it like the Ghost Arc and other pieces of kit out there that people are buying in large numbers. That I think you're going to probably get more of a you're going to get more information out of it, I think, because once things become mass-produced, you got to ship it to this place or this factory, and then then specs change, and then it all starts falling apart, and people buy it and want their money back. I mean, that's what's been going on with some of the kit out there these days.
The amount of people that have messaged me in regards to that particular video, Mo, you know, where do I buy the equipment from? What's the best sort of leads to use for hooking up? I've just told them what I've got. You know, I've not said you know, buy the equipment from me. Let me sell you. I've sent them in the directions where I've been, and people have built these devices. And there's another team that I actually work with quite closely, who've also got their own version of the PX1 as well now. So, you know, did I copy Steve Huff? Maybe I did. But I don't market myself as a portal. I don't market it as being better than his device. I don't market it at all. It was simply he inspired me to do my own little thing. I've done mine, and now I'm inspiring other people. And it's just sharing the knowledge. It's just sharing the information.
Both you guys like to pay it forward, and I like that idea about exactly how both you guys operate tech-wise. I've seen Mo come up with stuff that I'm like, dude, why the H aren't you selling this stuff right now? You would make bank. He's like, dude, I'm not in it to sell it, because that's a whole nother beast of its own. And Mark, you're the same exact way. You know, this is how I did it. Boom. Go for it. Do your own. Something might come out new that this person does different than what you do. But I think when it comes down to the point of starting to sell this kind of stuff, it's just bad, because you're going to get people that are inexperienced using it that are going to start posting all over Facebook in their little groups, and their little, look what we found here, and then all of a sudden it's like BS, 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 and it turns into an all-out Facebook war. And it's happened to us before, and stuff like that. I'm not going to mention who, what, where, when, whys, but I think it's best kept within groups.
No, as I said, to go back towards a piece of equipment, I'm fascinated by it. I think it's brilliant what you've done. As I said, please don't think I'm going to copy what you've done with yours. And I know that's not obviously something you'd be much interested in, but I definitely like the basis of what you've done. And as I said, if I had the chance to do it or the time to do it, I definitely would do. I just need to point out one thing someone's put in the chat room. One of our other faithful listeners, the Lunatic, has put in the chat room. It's an amazing quote. Cats are arseholes.
Hey.
Cats are assholes. Simple as. That's what she's put in the chat room.
I thought Scouses were, and I thought that was the only thing that we're at.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I know we were talking about cats, but she just literally grabbed it out the air. So
that's kind of funny, actually.
Miz has put in the chat room again. How do you know if the device works when you initially make it? And I know the answer to this. I know what it'd be, but how did you work out that it worked?
Simply just through using it, you know. I mean, I suppose a lot of the time, any form of equipment, whether it's the PX1, whether it's an Ovulus, whether it's a Spirit Box, whether it's a REM pod, I suppose at the end of the day, if you, let's just say the REM pod, for example,
Yes.
You pop it down on the floor or whatever. If there's any spirits here, can you go and touch the antenna? Can you make one light come on, 2 lights come on, 3 lights come on, whatever?
Yes.
And then the lights start coming on. You could quite easily just accept and believe that it is a spirit because you've asked for it, but it might not be. There could be another logical explanation. I think what I'm trying to say here, though, regardless of whatever piece of equipment you are using, whether it's the PX1, a portal, a spirit box, EMF meter, whatever, I suppose at the end of the day, it's down to belief at the end of the day. If you believe it's a spirit, nobody else will tell you different.
Of course.
If you believe it's not a spirit and you believe, well, hang on a minute, there could be some other explanation for this, then you believe that. I think at the end of the day, it's down to belief, whether you believe that the item's working or not. But more than that, in regard to the PX1, which is obviously what we're speaking about right now, if you go and watch this video on YouTube, 30 East Drive, UK's Most Haunted Homes, Episode 1, you'll see it in action. I don't know how anybody could try and debunk. I don't think you can debunk the PX1 with the responses that we got. One of the things I asked were, if there are any children in this house, say the word children, and it's there. Every single sound that makes up the word children is there. You can hear it. Anybody who says they don't hear that word, I'm sorry, but you need to go and get your ears tested.
Mark,
because it is there,
Mark, can you do us a favor and post that in our Beyond the White Noise Paranormal group?
No, Kate, it's okay. I'll get the link and put the link in.
Oh, you'll get the link and put it up? Okay,
I'll put it in the show notes of this, don't worry. I'll make sure that it's there for everybody who's listening.
Cool.
Now, just before we go, one more thing I do have to ask you is, what have you guys got coming up? What's coming up for you guys?
Quite a lot, in all fairness, but next week we are going to Ireland. We are going to investigate Leap Castle. We're going with another group, Phantasmic Paranormal. They are an events company. We're not taking public, it's just the 2 lead investigators from the events company, and myself and Kyle. We're going there on a 3-day tour of Ireland. We're not just going to be investigating Leap Castle, we will be investigating other areas of paranormal interest around Ireland. We've got that coming up. We've got episode 2 of the UK's Most Haunted Homes coming up the week after.
Awesome.
I have got various pubs, various public houses coming up in the coming weeks. We've got a potential trip to Scotland coming up around the Loch Ness, and that's kind of going to be some kind of like spin-off to the werewolf investigation that we just did in Hull. So there's a lot coming up. Without saying too much, there's an awful lot coming up.
Well, we're definitely going to keep our eyes to your channel, and we're going to make sure that people who are watching the show are aware of what you're doing. As I said, I applaud what you do. And
thank you.
I think you've done well. Now, I'm going to say, unfortunately, we are coming to the close of the show. So for anybody who wants to see what Mark and what Kyle are up to, get over to Paranormal-X on YouTube. You've also got your website, which is Paranormal-X.
.co.uk.
Is that a hyphen X, is it? Paranormal-X.
Yeah. It doesn't matter about the hyphen, though, because Google, it doesn't recognise the hyphen as... So even if you just type in paranormalx.co.uk without the hyphen,
can you tell people... make sure people know that it is UK, because what happens is there's Paranormal-X radio, and people get all screwed up over that. We don't want that. We don't want that in the least.
I'll make sure it's in the links. Don't you worry. But, to everybody who listens,
we are also as well on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter. Just search Paranormal-X on Facebook, search Paranormal-X on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere. So
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, as I said, I'm gonna link into everything that you guys are running, and I'll throw it into the show notes. If anybody's listening to this by podcast, if you just slide your screen to the right, all the details will be on the screen for you there. And again, Mark, thank you very much. You are welcome.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
You're welcome anytime you want.
Thank you for having me. It's been absolutely fantastic. Oh. Can I just say very quickly before I go?
Of course.
At midnight tonight, UK time, I am going to be live streaming straight over Facebook. So if anybody wants to see me getting the crap scared out of me, head over to Facebook, search Paranormal-X, and you will see me in about an hour from now. Go on, Kurt.
I was just going to say, for all the Americans out there, I just speak for the Americans, that would be 1 hour.
1 hour. 1 hour from now.
All I was
approximately approximately 1 hour from now, if you want to see me doing a live Spirit Box session, a live Lone Vigil, head over to Facebook and check us out. But I just also as well very quickly want to say a massive thank you to all our fans in America. We do have a lot of fans over there. We've got fans in Japan, we've got fans in Australia, we've got fans in South Africa, obviously fans in the United Kingdom. I just want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you for giving us that constant support and words of encouragement. And obviously thank you to Mo and thank you to Kurt for having me.
No, as I said, Mark, you're very welcome. Anytime you want to pop on, thank you very much for coming on. If you want to come back on the show, message us. You've got no
I'd love to come back on. It'll be great. I'd love to come back on.
Carte blanche, my friend. Carte blanche.
Perfect. Yeah. Nevertheless, and for everybody else who's listening, guys, have a great evening. Get over to the live stream. Give it an hour. Get over there and do us a favour. Unfortunately, I'll be in bed, but somebody who's in the chat, have a little listen. Have a little view of it. Phone me up and tell me what happened.
iTunes. Tell them about iTunes, Mo, before we head out. We got to tell them about we are on iTunes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, people know we're on podcast. So the podcast will be up from tomorrow evening. So if anybody wants to listen to this, it'll be on podcast. So enjoy, guys, and good night. See you.
Have a great night. Have a great.
Sorry, Mark, you want to say something then?
I was just going to say good night. Good night, everyone.
Hasn't he got such a charming voice? I like that.
He is. He's very gentleman. Like Mo and I are a bunch of like sewer rats. But he's all gentleman like, and we are sewer rats, and we are alive right now still. That's what's even better about this.